Hi there, my name's Khobe Clarke, and you're watching the Permanent Rain Press.
Hi everyone, it's Chloe with the Permanent Rain Press today. I'm so happy to be joined by Khobe Clarke. How's it going?
I'm doing really well. Chloe, how are you doing?
I'm doing good, thanks for asking. And I'm so excited to chat with you about your work in season one of Off Campus. But before we get into the show, what can you share about your background in the arts and what sparked that passion in you to pursue this field as a career?
Oh boy. I think I grew up around a lot of stories. I was a big Star Wars fan growing up. Um, big Harry Potter fan, Indiana Jones fan, and then kind of as I got older, I was allowed to watch these maybe more mature movies, maybe earlier than I should have, but it really sparked this kind of amazement um, with stories and movies, and then how fun would it be to be the person acting in these movies? And I don't think it's much more than that. Just really being enamored by watching these people do this as a career. It's like I think it's the coolest thing ever. Yeah.
I read before that you used to make up stories and recited monologues for your parents,
Yeah.
so I'm sure they really entertained you and helped foster that curiosity and that creativity.
Yes, for sure. Yeah. You've done your research, Chloe. Yeah, I would kind of go in the backyard, and whether it was, like a Star Wars adjacent world, or like winning the Stanley Cup in 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 Game 7, I I would build these kind of imaginary worlds for sure.
And you grew up in Alberta, big on the outdoors as a child. I'm sure that
Yes.
really helps, like being out in nature and getting to maybe like run around in the backyard and
Oh my
things like
goodness.
that.
Yes. 100%. I couldn't be more thankful for my childhood backyard. It's the time I spent the most. A lot of my earliest memories were in my backyard, and then in the further backyard, we have the Rocky Mountains, which is another place me and my family spent a ton of time, which again I'm endlessly grateful for. In all of Calgary and Alberta's harshness, there is real beauty. There's a gentleness to Alberta.
And outside of being, in Canada, you've also done some pretty amazing trips and travels over the years. Expedition Mongolia, which I know
Yeah,
was well documented by
yeah.
quite a few news outlets. So how has that kind of changed your outlook on life and,
Mm.
getting to take in all these different cultures?
Yeah. My dad, was in. He went on a lot of expeditions, even before I was born. So growing up, he was always going somewhere, you know, f- remote or kind of extreme. So I've naturally just gravitated towards that kind of travel. And I was very lucky for him to bring me and my sister to the base camp of Everest when we were 9 and 7 years old, and then to other parts of Asia. And then, yes, when I was 19 or 18, we went to Mongolia for a month and rode motorcycles and climbed this mountain. I think, yeah, travel is the greatest way to learn about others and about yourself. I think I've never answered more questions about myself than when I'm somewhere that I'm super unfamiliar with or uncomfortable with.
And then being off the grid as well. So I'm glad that you kind of got these experiences with your family and with your
Mhm.
dad. We'll talk about a notable project for you, which was playing Scott Russell in Prime Video's Cruel Intentions.
Of
As
course.
your first series lead, how was that experience for you getting to sit with
Oh,
and develop a character across an 8 episode season?
yeah. Yeah. I mean, I don't know, that whole experience was so special. I was living in Vancouver at the time, and then you go through this arduous audition process, and then I was kind of still waiting and very anxious, and you get so close, and then I got the call that I got it, and then you get to move to a whole different place and do this thing. So I think the coolest thing for me was just feeling like I had a job, that I could pay my rent to act kind of in a not stressful way. And then yeah, Scott really felt like the first character I got to like almost sink my teeth into in a way. I mean, I wouldn't say it was the most challenging part, but it definitely felt like I was really involved in the story. And I had kind of, it felt like I was working with people, maybe not for people, if that makes sense. Like there was real collaborative nature.
And I know that you've answered a lot of questions in the past about, the comedic timing and comedic beat, but he did have an impactful storyline as well. And you've talked about putting aside ego to play this character. If you had been renewed for a season two, what did you hope to explore with Scott's story and his identity?
Hmm. Yeah, I think there was a lot left on the table for Scott Russell. It's unfortunate. I think I would really like him to get some kind of. I think he was treated very poorly, and almost, a lot of it was behind his back, and he was kind of this pawn in this bigger chess game within the other characters, which bothered me as much as it did Scott. So I think allowing him to have some kind of redeeming thing where he got to like stand on his own 2 feet for once, I guess. But to get the opportunity to even just go back to Toronto and hang out with that cast and go back to the studio and see the crew, like even when we talk about this now, that concept excites me even more so than going to work as Scott. I really miss that experience as a whole.
It was such a great cast, and yeah, I would have loved to see, the dynamics with his father and then John Kim's Blaze, because every
Oh
time the
yeah.
two of you were on screen, it was like a lot of, it was a lot of fun to
Yo,
see that.
John Kim and John Tenney, who plays my dad in that show. Those guys are yeah, they taught me a lot. The banter on screen is only because there was a lot of banter off screen. Yeah.
Well, I'm so sad that you didn't get the chance to revisit Sagat, but that show is still around, so people can go check it out and still show the love. You've said outside of your own acting that your long-term goal is to write and direct your own projects. So where are you at in your own filmmaking journey?
At the very start of it, Chloe. It's really hard. It's really hard to write. Um, I think I heard this Robert Downey Jr. interview, and he said this quote where he said, "Everyone can act, some can direct, and no one can write," which I think is pretty smart, because that other side, that creative side of it, I find really borderline torturous. It's either like the most fulfilling thing in the world or the most torturous, frustrating thing. So I would say I'm at the very start. I'm working on something right now, but it feels very novice, and I'm just trying to ease myself into um this entirely new aspect of this. Yeah.
Who would you say you're inspired by in terms of, filmmaking? Like who are some directors or writers that you admire?
hmm There's this Iranian gentleman who was popular in the 90s named Abbas Kiarostami. And he made this movie called Close Up. And I've never been so impacted by a story or a film, because Abbas, it's I don't want to spoil it because I really recommend everyone watch it, but it kind of blends this true story and this kind of retelling of this true story, but it uses the real people that it happened to. It's it's like, yeah, deeply impactful. And he had this other movie called Where's the Friend's House? And it's just this super simple, really patient story. Yeah, obscure Stami is kind of my biggest kind of my I go to learn. I watch these movies to really feel like I'm learning.
It's so nice to, have a go-to director, and I'm sure you're a fan of so many other projects as well, but one that you keep returning to for, the mood that they create. In terms of genre and theme, like what are you drawn towards wanting to tell in your own stories? I know you don't want to say too much about what you're working on, but is
Yeah.
there any kind of genre you might gravitate towards when you're writing?
Genre, I don't know if it's as specific as like drama or sci-fi or, the kind of the big four, so to say. But I think what interests me is a very specific experience that I don't know a lot about that will let me learn a ton about it. Like almost be like the cool thing about making movies about something specific. I know that's ridiculous, but you kind of have to be a student of the topic to tell the story well, right? So I think getting to be able to know a lot about something to then be able to tell people about it is a cool thing to me. So that could be within any genre.
I love that. And I see a bunch of movie posters
Yeah.
behind you. Are those some of your favorites?
Yeah, I mean, of course, they're kind of just classics. My dad has a friend he's known since the fifth grade, Brett Coyne, who runs a like a print store in Calgary, actually. And I've been collecting these kind of one by one since like high school. So this is kind of grown. I just ordered more actually. So
The collection is growing. That's
the
really
next,
cool, though.
hey, thank you. Yeah, yeah,
Baby Driver, The Dark Knight, The Departed, those are some of my
yeah.
favorites. Yeah.
Real pretentious film bro movies up here, I think. Yeah. It's the tip of the iceberg, but I still love these. Yeah, for sure.
Well, I'm excited to see where your own journey takes you whenever that is. I feel like creativity can strike at different times. So you may sit with an idea for a
Absolutely.
while, get to kind of flesh it out, maybe work with some collaborators in the future.
Yes, absolutely. That is very well said. Creativity, it strikes like lightning almost.
Well, we will get into your current project now, and I will note to all those watching that we are discussing heavy spoilers for season one, so please make sure you have finished episodes 1 to 8. What can you share about your audition process for Off Campus and what drew you to wanting to be a part of this project?
Um, yeah, the audition process was like every audition process, kind of long and a bit stressful and a lot of waiting by the phone. Um, but I got a call from Louisa and Annika that they wanted me to be Beau. So I took that and ran with it. The audition process was yeah, it's all really the same. I did one callback for I was in a backcountry ski hut in like by helicopter 20 minutes north of Golden. Yeah, that's where we took the helicopter. And the Wi-Fi was so bad that everyone in the lodge, I had to like get up at dinner and ask everybody to get off the Wi-Fi. And it was really awkward because it's all these old like Australian dudes who don't really care about this YA callback for my show. But I did this callback in the middle of the mountains, really, and it was one of the better callbacks I did for the show, I think. So there's a fun tidbit about it, but they're all similar. And when you get the call that you got it, it's just the sweetest relief.
Did you hear a lot of groans when you had to get up and ask everyone to not be on the Wi-Fi?
You know what? There were these older Kiwi guys, these dudes from New Zealand who had been going to this lodge for a long time. I would say like every winter for a decade. and they're big personalities, so they would tease me about it, but the day of the audition, they went around and were like, I think they were saying, everyone get off the Wi-Fi so the young fella can do his Shakespeare. Like they were still teasing me, but they made it known that no one was groaning. They were actually super supportive, but they did tear me apart for it. Absolutely. Yeah.
They had your back,
They
so
have
I'm
my
glad to
back.
see that it
Yeah.
worked out for you. Who was the first person you told when you booked this role?
My girlfriend, my girlfriend and I were at getting tacos at this joint called Blanco, and my agent called me. I stepped out on the patio. I came back in. I told her, and then we ordered a couple margaritas. Yeah.
I
Yeah.
bet that food and the margaritas tasted even sweeter after
Oh,
the good
one
news.
100%. 100%. It was actually a couple days after I had run a marathon, Chloe, and I was in so much pain. It was like the hardest, worst thing I've ever done in my life. So it was almost like my soreness dissipated with the news.
What good news, what booking a part will do for you.
And yeah,
Tell me about, so did you audition for Beau, or were there any other characters that you auditioned for?
uh yeah, I auditioned for Garrett. I auditioned for Logan. Um, I actually never auditioned for Beau, if I'm being completely honest.
They saw something
Uh,
in you.
yeah, I guess. Yeah. I mean, those are kind of I think I met up with casting and that team of creators so much that I don't think they needed anything else from me. After the literally the months of in and out of Zoom calls with them. So they were nice enough to just say you're Beau, which is really great.
I feel like it's one of those things, and you get kind of maybe, I don't know how far you got into the process, but you almost feel like, oh, am I not going to get anything at all? So, to still get a character and be a part of this universe is something that's so special. Were you familiar with the book series or the sports romance genre, and what were your initial thoughts?
With the books, I mean I know the romance genre is super popular. I wouldn't say it's my type of reading, but I can't hate anybody for loving it. And people love these books. I love how much people love these books. I didn't know of these stories specifically, but in the audition process, I read the deal. Yeah, I was on a plane to Los Angeles, and I was cooking through the deal. It's kind of awkward now that I know all these people doing these scenes. There's some crazy business in there.
I feel like it's a whole thing in itself, and we'll talk about the popularity of it, obviously, doing a convention in the near future. But talking about the books, like what did you draw from the source material to help inform your performance as Beau Maxwell and just even
Mm.
being enveloped in this Briar U universe?
I don't know. I don't know if I took anything specifically other than the importance of Beau and Dean's friendship. I think Al Kennedy, I mean, the reason people are attached to Beau is because Elle really, I think, did a good job making him feel important um, within a very tight, time frame. Otherwise people wouldn't care as much as they do. So I really was struck by the feeling you're left about this kind of lovely male friendship is maybe what I took away.
For Beau, where did you draw inspiration from for him in terms of like his personality? Were there any other fictional characters or constructs you looked towards when you were shaping how you played him, his personality, what might be important to him?
Well, I looked at the description that Louisa and Gina gave me, and talking about his upbringing in New York, and obviously the wealth and the kind of jock nature to him, but also the fact that he grew up very close to the theater. So I think Beau, as much as he is kind of this um, athlete type, I think he's also very emotionally aware, maybe based on his relationship with his older sister or the arts, which he loves. So taking that into account, you don't want to make him too like jockey and fall into that stereotype. But I think the most important thing was just establishing a good rhythm with Stephen Kalyn. I think if him and I could feel like best friends or feel like that we really bounced off of each other nicely, then the Beau and Dean relationship would fall into place no matter what.
Definitely. And with that, I love that you mentioned that he grew up around the arts and theater because in class in episode one, you get a sense that, oh, he might be entitled. Like he suggests that Garrett just asked his coach to bend the rules. But then as we get
Yeah.
to, see a bit more of him, we see this other really like easygoing side and nature to the character. And while we don't see Beau on the field as a football player in season one, can you expand on the importance of physicality for a character like this, like that manifests for you in terms of preparation or during filming?
Yeah. Yes. I think I mean nothing really for Beau specifically other than, you want to be in every role, I think, if it calls for it, unless you're playing a really scared, insecure human being. But you want to, I think, just being mindful of your posture and your breath and being connected with yourself in whatever space you're working in is important for everything. Whether if you're playing a football player or a sushi chef or a janitor, whatever it is, be own the space. Yeah. So yeah, sorry, that's a bizarre answer to your question.
No,
I
it
wish
makes
I could say I
sense
was doing
though.
push-ups and throwing a ball. I wasn't, but I was trying to be like, I'm Beau Maxwell, be Beau Maxwell.
Yeah, you have to give yourself like that confidence and like
Yeah,
maybe like puff your chest a bit more
sure.
when you're
Yeah.
walking around in a scene. Tell me a bit about Beau's past because naturally when you play a character, you think about how that affects someone. In present day, can you expand on how you interpreted maybe that wealthy upbringing with his family as well as his relationship with his sister Joanna?
Yeah, Gina and Louisa wrote something great in his description talking about how the Maxwells are a rich New York family, but they're a really cool, rich New York family. So I kind of love that because it says a lot. There's there's unlimited possibilities with someone from New York. It's such a like an amazing melting pot. So I would just think about, the neighborhood in Manhattan that Dean and Beau grew up in, the high school they went to, the trains they took. I think they're, as kind of wealthy as they are, I think maybe the reason they're so emotionally intelligent at times uh, is is because they grew up in this city where everyone kind of lives at the same level for at least a little bit or some aspects of it. Yeah.
And you have a sister, like you mentioned, I believe Jayla. I hope I'm
Yeah.
pronouncing her name right.
Yeah, you
So,
nailed it.
did you
Jayla,
draw
yeah.
anything from your own relationship in terms of the dynamics that maybe Beau and Joanna share off screen?
Wow. Wow, good question, Chloe. Um, Jayla is well, Joanna Maxwell's my older sister. Jayla is my younger sister. So there's obviously a difference there, but for sure, I grew up around a sister. So I know how that feels. And so it kind of came naturally. In that part of your life, in your early 20s, like Beau and Joanna are, and now me and my sister are, you're more friends than anything, hopefully. So just be her friend and be supportive. And that's kind of, yeah, that's kind of it.
We did get that playful moment between the siblings in episode 7. So it was nice to kind of see that. Tell me a bit about, you and Steven. You mentioned the chemistry between you two. Did you discuss their friendship together and the origins of it? Like, did it originate back in New York, or was
Mm.
it at school at Briar U? And how did they connect with each other so well?
Well, I know we knew they went to high school together, and we know that their families are connected in a way. So that was kind of answered for us. But Stephen Kalyn is he's a great question asker. Like on at work, he will sit there and he'll play kind of verbal ping pong with you. I mean, all day long. So him and I, there was no shortage of really fun conversations, whether it was about the character specifically or ideas for the scene. He's such a he really trusts his instincts. I actually think that's what makes him so good. And I mean, you've seen it, but other people will see him. Um, I see a tremendous amount of trusting his instincts, and if I can like get in there and trust myself too, I think our scenes are really, really fun because of that.
And it's really nice to be able to play off of each other in these moments and maybe create a dialogue for how they, became friends in the past. And they obviously celebrate their birthdays together.
Yeah.
We'll go into some specific scenes, but I'd like to know which was your favorite scene to film and be a part of and why.
Mm. There's this great scene where we're kind of introducing this B story for an episode. I believe it's in 4. And it's me, it's Beau, Dean, and Tucker, and we're kind of running him through this hazing ritual with the fruit, and that was so much fun to do. Like so much that like by a landslide. And I had fun every day on off campus, but that that fruit scene was really funny. And they let us go wild with some ideas there.
Was there a lot of improv in that scene?
Oh yeah. I mean, Steven and I, if we can, I'm sure it's the same for the rest of the guys, but if we can, usually they'll shut us down, but sometimes they'll let it slide. If yeah, there was a ton of improv. Some of which they were like, okay, and a lot of the times they were like, just follow the script, boys, please. We're trying to go home eventually.
They're like, stop playing around.
Yeah,
This is
yeah,
serious stuff.
yeah,
Although, I mean, the whole hazing in terms of the fruit was
mhm,
very unserious and funny, and we'll
yes,
talk about what that amounts to. But I wanted to go to episode 2, which is the birthday bash. That's supposed to be Beau's family's summer home in Cape
yep.
Cod. Is there anything specific you remember from filming that big house party?
Yeah, I remember it was really hot in that house. It was really hot. And um I remember Jalen Thomas Brooks had to do a keg stand, and he had to do it a lot. Like a lot of keg stands. So that was super funny. And that fake beer isn't exactly very tasty. So that was cool. And then I don't know, just being there, everyone was there. Like literally the whole cast was there. And it's such a social, accepting, supportive group of people, and everyone's so funny. Like it's just so many laughs. So I would say just, sitting in the green room of the basement of this crazy house was like, yeah, really, really fun.
And then, of course, you were dressed up as Goose, the Maverick and Goose from Top Gun. So you mentioned
Of
it
course.
being really hot. I'm sure you were sweating in that kind of one piece
Yeah,
outfit.
100%. Yeah. But there's a few times in the show where I was sweating through my outfit. Yeah, absolutely.
You're like makeup, hair, makeup, wardrobe. Like, come help
Yeah,
me.
I like start melting. Yeah, like some ice sculpture. Yeah, it's pretty warm.
Well, that was a very fun scene. And then the ensemble at Drunk Shakespeare as well, which was a very cool
Yep.
set and
That was the
stage
hottest scene.
setup.
That was the hottest. They put Josh Houston in this like a sweater this thick, and he was like, yeah, he was panting over in the corner of the room.
Bit of a melting pot. I mean, how
Yeah,
was
that
that
was hot.
production within a
Oh,
production to shoot? There's so many moving parts with that.
yeah, that was really fun. I mean, it took numerous days, and we were kind of in this random warehouse, kind of east of downtown in Vancouver, and you walk through this like bay door, and then through another door, and then suddenly you're in this like beautifully designed theater. Like it's kind of a space that I think should exist here. Like they did such a good job designing it, and then to to just sit there and watch Miles destroy. Like I could watch Miles do those opening Drunk Shakespeare monologues over and over again. Just so impressive and so new every time. Yeah, I was really looking forward to Drunk Shakespeare.
And then what really got to me was that Tucker's fruit baby just got larger
Oh yeah.
and larger while they were there. I mean, where was Beau hiding the pineapple and the watermelon?
Yeah, good point. Yeah, I mean he had to bring them. I never thought of that.
They
It's
just
a good
came out
point.
of thin air.
I know he had some duffel bag of produce. Yeah. No, I love the fruit. The whole fruit thing is just so funny. And then yeah, we would mess around a ton with the improv with the fruit and Dean with the coconut where he like says something and then he's like coconut and then I say, yeah. It's so funny to me. There's like it's cut in half and there's already a straw in it. It's just like so ridiculous. Yeah, the fruit thing is all time.
And then it's nice to kind of get that moment with another character as well, because obviously in the books it's kind of like Beau and Dean, but to get to build that relationship with other characters like Tucker as well. I loved the banter and car sing along between Beau and Allie. Episode 6, how much fun was that to rehearse and film opposite Mika and Steven?
It was fun when it wasn't scary. I was really scared to sing that that song from L. It is, I believe. Yeah, and they had an earwig and it would like count down. And I'm also driving this car, and I'm also self-conscious about singing in this car, and Meek is going for it, so I had to try and go for it. But once I kind of got over got over myself, I it was really fun. And those two, I mean, Mika similarly with everybody else is like just the most generous, fun, spontaneous artists and really, really good humans to just sit and talk with all day long.
You had nothing to be worried about. It turned out fantastic.
Thank you for
Yeah, the
saying that,
song
Chloe.
from Legally Blonde, it just felt like really good vibes. Do you remember how many takes you had to do to kind of get comfortable with it?
Um, yeah, a few, but who knows if that was like a singing problem or like where the car was problem or a Steven's hair problem. I don't. I can't put it all on the song, but yeah, probably the song was the biggest factor of redoing a take for sure.
I mean, it's multitasking. You said you have to drive as well. So, I mean,
Yeah,
that's no big feat. Like, you want to make sure that you're not gonna run this car off. I'm guessing it was like a blocked off empty street and you
yeah, for sure. There was no traffic, and I actually might have accidentally lied to you when we were doing the scene. The car might have been on this massive rig, so I wasn't even driving. But I'm just using that as an available excuse.
you have to act like you're driving. So there is acting
True,
involved
and
in that. Like you can't
yeah,
just not be holding the steering wheel, right?
yeah, and acting driving is a bizarre experience. Yeah. So thank you. You're really being nice about my nervousness about that scene.
It was one of my favorites in this
Oh,
season, if that means anything. I'm sure a
oh
lot of people will be
man.
saying that as well for just like, how fun it was and bringing some levity to the show. At the Hurricanes fundraiser, Beau and Tucker comment on Dean acting weird. And in episode 8, he does come clean to Beau about his feelings for Allie, though Beau already knew this. what do you think Beau recognized or noticed between them in that 8 hour car ride that he alludes, keeping in mind he knows Dean's history with girls, the no strings attached hookups, and what really made this different for him?
I mean, you spend enough time around one of your friends, as soon as they kind of pivot, I've kind of watched my friends fall in love, and there is this different way they carry themselves. I think it's pretty easy for Beau. I think Dean's ridiculous for not maybe knowing that Beau would know, or maybe he just couldn't accept it because he himself maybe can't accept it. You spend enough time around your best friend, you're gonna notice when he's falling for someone, I think. So yeah, and if you're in the car for 8 hours and they're like texting each other, it's you know, like Beau says, he has eyes.
There was that moment when they texted each other, and it's like, how can Beau not notice that
Yeah,
like both of them are looking at their phones at the same time, peripheral vision.
totally.
But what's curious to me was, Allie didn't necessarily hang out in their same circles, and here they are driving her to New York. Like, how was that introduced, do you think, to Beau? Like, was Dean just like, oh, there's this girl, she needs a ride?
Yeah, yeah. I think yeah, I think Beau's a nice guy. I think Dean's a nice guy. He was like, there's this girl, Allie. Can we drive her to New York? She's friends with my buddy's girlfriend. And Beau was like, yeah, man. Yeah, new friend.
And you were a part of the pop showcase scene, and then afterwards hanging out at Malone's. There was this explosive choreograph and scene. How was that to kind of watch and be witness to?
The pop showcase was awesome. I'll just say that. They didn't let any of us hear Ella's final song. And it was so awesome. And they were in this really nice theater. And it was, yeah. I think there's actually a video of us seeing it for the first time, and I looked stupid because like my jaw's on the ground. I'm like, this is really cool what they've done here. The last scene, yeah, it was a bit of a doozy for sure. Um, those guys, yeah. I think I think I'll let people watch it, and I think they'll know what I mean by it being a doozy. I don't have to go into why um so much hell broke loose, but again, another very fun thing to shoot, and a cool button to end the season and kind of hint at another chapter. Yeah.
I will follow your lead and not say exactly what happens or who, but I will ask how come Beau didn't feel the need to step in there?
That's the best question so far. I totally agree. He just stands there.
It's
It's
like,
because I
you
had
have this
to,
other jock, and we
I
will
know.
say that Dean was involved, but we have, his best friend here who's just
Yeah. Well,
standing
I'm
back
I'm
with the
thinking like,
ladies.
yeah, I know. How emasculating for Bo. I know. I have talked about that. Why didn't he get in there? I mean, he's got his whole team. It's a hockey thing. Maybe I don't expect it to like blow up into a fight. Um, so I've maybe rested with that being the possibility. But yeah, I think in a different scenario, I think there was an earlier draft where Bo gets where Bo gets a little rowdy. So maybe they'll bring that fire back. It's within him. He just doesn't, he doesn't want to express it all the time.
Fair enough. I will say that, maybe he was just like, it's not my problem. Like, I still need to play my
Maybe.
sport and not get
Yeah.
involved. But
Yeah.
yeah,
I,
I thought that was funny, but he did, provide the answer to everyone's question at the end of the
right.
episode. Um, we
That's true.
will talk about hockey, or before we get into that, I want to ask, having seen like the first season, what was your favorite scene that you and Beau were not in, and why?
Oh, there's a ton with the boys. I mean, a ton of the hockey. banter is in and out of the locker room is really good. That Thanksgiving dinner table scene is really well done. Um, I liked the Sean Allie shower situation. It felt like a really awkward, kind of immature conversation. I believed the dynamic, and I think Riley Davis and Mika did a really good job of making that as painful to watch as possible. I thought they did a great job there. Anything with Miles, um, I like Julia and Logan's dynamic in the car. Um, yeah, they're all over the place.
I'm sure you could like pick many scenes from all the episodes.
Yeah,
The
I
characters, like everyone did so well in
so
their
well.
roles,
Yeah.
yourself included.
Oh, thank you, Chloe. Yeah, I'm super. I mean, I really got a sense of how talented my castmates were, and then you watch it, and it's just like it deepens this sense of pride in everybody.
So, being from Calgary, I know you also have some hockey playing experience. What is the extent of your time on ice and on skates?
It's a yeah. I mean, I remember. I don't even remember learning to skate. It was like maybe um, simultaneous with walking. That backyard I was talking about earlier, me and my dad would flood and freeze it into an ice rink, and he would get these like kind of plastic LED strips, and he would put them under this. If you imagine this really big, thin plastic pillow, you fill that with water, and then it freezes, and then you cut the plastic off, and you have this awesome little ice rink. These are like the things they used to sell at Canadian Tire. And under that plastic, my dad would put like these lights under the ice, so it would like illuminate kind of the backyard from the ice up. So I mean, there was so much hockey being played in my backyard, and then right up the street there was an outdoor rink, which was, I mean, it was massive. It was the size of a football field. And there's a massive amount of community that's built at those rinks. And then yeah, I played organized hockey. Um, yeah, all through growing up.
That home rink just sounds so magical.
Yeah, yeah.
So, being from Calgary, are you a hardcore Flames fan?
Die hard till I die, Flames fan. Yeah. It's a bit unfortunate right now, but I will always love them and support them. Yeah, it's 100%. We don't have any other sports team in Calgary, so you really, that similarly with, Edmonton, say what you want about that team, but you really are drawn to these hockey teams because sometimes it feels like nobody has anything else to root for. We're not one of these cities that has a basketball team or a baseball team, an NFL team, of the four major sports, the Flames, and it really, it's it it's something Calgarians hold with a lot of pride, I think. Yeah.
I think that answers my question about not necessarily rooting for the Oilers in the playoffs. Is there any other team you're rooting for? Like, who's your
Well,
pick to win the Stanley Cup?
my pick, who do I think or who do I want?
You could say both.
I want the Canadians to win it. I think the Avalanche are going to win it. I respect the Edmonton Oilers, and I think I'll always be a fan of greatness, but I can't bring myself to cheer for them. But I think they're a great team.
Said by a true Calgary Flames fan.
Yeah, I got to be careful. That's a passionate fan base.
Well, we will see if those picks hold up. I would also love to see the Montreal Canadiens
Oh yeah,
win.
yeah.
Big win yesterday
They have
against the
huge win
Lightning.
in overtime. Yeah,
Obviously, by the time this interview comes out, many more games would have happened by then. But
yeah.
fingers crossed they move
What
on to the next
what's
round.
what's your pick, Chloe? So we can see if we were right.
I also feel like the Avalanche is a strong team.
Yeah,
I feel like Dallas is also kind of strong.
Dallas is great. They've been great.
I would love for Montreal or Carolina to win the cup. I do think Carolina
Carolina.
is a good team.
Carolina's a great team. So you would cheer for Carolina over the Oilers
Yes.
or
I
over,
follow the Hurricanes, so yeah.
really? Wow. That's a very niche hockey fan of you.
We can get into that after.
Yeah, yeah, yeah.
But
Sorry, back to the show.
yeah, back to the show, back to hockey. But I love talking about hockey. So I'm
Nice.
sad that you aren't a hockey player in the show, but
Me
hopefully,
too.
you get more time maybe at the rink in season two. But
Yeah, who
Eagle
knows?
Eye fans did notice you created a Spotify playlist for Beau. Tell me about curating it for your character and how you settled on his musical tastes.
Yeah. I don't know if it's really Bo's like what I'm thinking Bo listens to. Maybe that's subconsciously a bit of it, but I think Bo like putting the playlist Bo there is kind of something it's just for when I'm at work, you know, um in my trailer. It's something I know is, that's the Bo playlist because I'm shooting off campus. It's something, it's kind of the mood of the whole project is how I make those playlists. And sometimes songs that, like Ella Bright has a fantastic taste in music. And so she's playing a song and then I ask her what it is and then I'll put it on that. It's kind of like a memory bank of filming the first season of the show, more so than it is like me trying to, you know, uh, listen to what Bo would listen to.
I mean, subconsciously, though, it kind of matches the mood and the tone, maybe for a specific scene or moment. And, you had a
Mhm.
lot of great rock bands in there. Also, some hip hop. Shout out to Canada's own The Tragically Hip, who was also included in that.
The best, the best. The Tragically Hip will be included in everything, everything, always. Yeah.
I will give a big spoiler warning for the next question, which has to do with the off-campus series and Beau's storyline in it. So please skip this next one if you aren't aware of Beau's story. Looking ahead to season two and beyond, we know that Beau in the books will sadly pass, and his death will greatly affect Dean. Knowing Beau's fate, how does that affect your mindset, if at all, knowing he may be pivotal to a dark and very emotional part of the story?
Yeah, good question. It's interesting because I mean a character dying is always going to be an emotional part of any story, but it was interesting to feel the feedback from the fans of the book who've already been through the traumatizing experience of Beau Maxwell dying and the love, like almost very mournful. So I feel like Elle did a very good job of writing that and making it really pivotal. So now for the show, I think it's we don't know when it's going to happen. But you kind of want to really take advantage of the time you have, I think. Um, and the good thing about that is Bo he kind of can die a hero or he can die the nice guy. His arc, he doesn't have to go up and down because the worst thing happens to him. So in this story, Bo can just be this wonderful kind of light in this story and until he isn't anymore. So I think just making him as likable as possible and recognizing his importance to Dean. Yeah, yeah, it's very sad.
It is very sad. I know a lot of people are
Yeah,
when they, saw you were cast and then, you get a little bit of Beau in the trailer from the house party scene. A lot of people were kind of clipping the screenshot and being like, I can't believe we're gonna have to, see this guy.
from the trailer, they were clipping it.
Yeah.
Oh
It's
wow.
on X, formerly Twitter. I think
Okay.
there's a lot of like noise, online discourse
Oh
on
yeah.
that. So I know I don't think you have X, but maybe some people will send it your way in the
Yeah.
future.
I do not have X, and I didn't even see myself in the trailer, to be completely honest. But
I think it was a screenshot someone. I think it
oh,
was
nice.
during
At the
like the house
party.
at the party
Okay.
you
I
see
do remember
you
seeing
and
that.
yeah.
Yeah.
So
Okay,
just from
nice.
that one picture, people
Yeah.
know that you're
I know.
Beau and there's a little Easter egg there. Are
Yeah.
there any specific scenes or moments from the source material that you're looking forward to maybe being a part of in future seasons should they be adapted?
Um, yeah, I know some stuff we're doing for the second season, and I would say I'm not going to say anything, but I'm super excited. Yeah.
We're gonna let you keep your job here. I will
I
note
really need to keep my job, Chloe.
in episode 8, I was a bit disappointed because that seemed like the perfect opportunity for that Twilight conversation about Jacob and imprinting. If you remember that from the books when they're talking kind of about Allie. Does that sound familiar at
In
all?
the second book?
Um, it was, I can't remember which book, but it was one where they were kind of talking. I think Dean was talking about Allie, and then there was like this conversation about Twilight that ended up.
Oh, yeah. I have heard of this. Wait, is that because Beau's a fan of Twilight?
I think that they both admit that they have read the books because it ended
Okay.
up with him talking about Jacob and the werewolf imprinting and how it related to Dean and Allie.
Wow. Yeah, that would have been really fun to do. Maybe they're, I don't know if they have a plan
Maybe
to.
they can fit it in
Maybe they
season
can,
two,
yeah,
maybe.
who knows? I have heard about the Twilight thing though. That is funny.
I'm sad you didn't get to act it out,
They
but
probably didn't want me and Steven to really even have the reins loose enough to do that scene. I mean, yeah,
they were like,
there
we
was
can't
enough
have that
messing
happen.
around. Yeah, yeah.
Tell me about your relationship with the cast and building that chemistry with each other on and off set. I know you mentioned before that everyone was just so wonderful to work with. Like, do you have a favorite memory from all of it?
Yeah, I just would like to hammer home that it's so rare that you get a group of, young, like, people in their 20s that don't know each other at all, and then you drop them in this new place and they don't really have anyone else here. So, at times it can be lonely and complicated, and if some people that you work with, don't align with you or maybe not very nice, it can be tough. Kind of feeling like you're on an island. But the whole group, there wasn't one there's not a bad egg or a unpleasant human being involved with this at all. It's almost shocking. It's like against the statistics of getting a group of people together like that. Everyone's so supportive of one another, and there's so much like listening and curiosity and too much fun, yeah, really, really awesome. But when it came to doing the work, everyone was super focused and professional and generous. So yeah, I feel very lucky to be a part of that ensemble of lovely humans.
And you spent a lot of time together on the weekends. I imagine, I think there was a lot of golfing. There were a lot of like
Tons of
pictures being
golfing.
posted.
Yeah. Antonio Cipriano got a hole in one like the fourth time I met him when we went golfing. Yeah. Yeah, tons of golf. Jalen Thomas Brooks. Mika's a great golfer. Stephen and Belmont are not good golfers, but there was other activities that we could include them in. Yeah, tons of golf.
And Belmont, Antonio, and Steven, they called you last year. They filmed something for the off-campus socials where you wished each other like a sweet dreams. So
Yeah,
it's nice to know that you have that relationship where if someone calls you, you'll always pick up the phone.
yeah. I didn't know about that. They didn't tell me. I was actually I had just gotten back from the Philippines and I was really sick and really jet lagged, like falling asleep at 8 p.m. jet lagged. And I kind of was in this like really exhausted, really sick days. And Belmont called me and I'm like thinking he's in jail. Like you don't get a call from Belmont every day. And then they were acting really weird on the phone. And I was like, oh, that's nice that you guys are calling me to say goodnight. And then like 3 days later, it's on Instagram. Yeah. Yeah. I should have known.
Well, you didn't say anything crazy. I think you just said like, don't
Well,
have too much fun without me or something.
Yeah, well, the conversation was if I knew it was a for a TikTok, I would have made it 10 seconds, but they were like, "We just wanted to say goodnight. How are you, man?" And then I went on this tangent about me being sick,
So
I
it was a
think.
lot longer than
It
what
was
we
so
actually
long.
saw.
Yeah, I feel super embarrassed. Like the Amazon publicist was probably like, "Oh my, just
They
like
like
like get
had
it."
to trim like 3 minutes of your
Yeah.
talking.
Yeah. Meanwhile, I'm thinking they're like, talking about missing me and that they want to check in. No,
Yeah, I'm sure that they did want to.
it was
I'm
all
sure
it
they
was
did
all a
miss you.
stunt. It was all a stunt, Chloe. It was all a stunt.
No, there's a lot of love there. I can tell in the way that you
There
talk to
is.
each other.
Yeah,
I'm excited
there
that
is.
you get to, reunite with them soon. You filmed the series obviously in Vancouver, which you now call home. How fun was it to act out that university experience that you didn't get to have and get to film locally?
Yeah. Yeah, I love going to I'm gonna butcher the name, Riverview. Riverview is this abandoned or not abandoned, but kind of semi-forgotten mental psych ward kind of thing from the 19 whatever. So it's a really creepy kind of old building and I like going there. That's like a cool Vancouver staple to film at. And it's super scary and bizarre. And then we like at UBC when we're shooting stuff. Yeah, it really did feel like a summer semester with all my classmates.
Yeah, Riverview rite of passage. It was funny to
Totally.
see you film like the do like the birthday invitation, and I know
Yeah.
that you were kind of bouncing back and forth between UBC and that Riverview set.
Yes, for sure. It's so creepy. That place is, yeah, but in a good way. And there's so much good like lore. Like some grip will be like, oh, one night we found a guy walking around. Everyone has like a weird story.
I'm sure you could hear a lot more from the crew.
Definitely.
You've said in the past that the internet can be mean, so you do take time for yourself, stay away from online discourse. Being a part of another project with IP and source material where there are those built-in expectations, are you going to be taking some time away when off-campus releases, or what is your strategy this time around?
Uh, yeah, I don't know if it's, as intense as going on some silent retreat, but maybe across like all the time having a very minimal kind of you can get very addicted to kind of seeing the discourse happen and when it's good things it feels good I think temporarily but it kind of inflates this thing inside you and then I think one like that balloon pops with one mean comment and then if there's a string of them it's like it can really get you down so having an appropriate relationship with the discourse is good and kind of keeping it at arm's length. The internet's super vast and it is as beautiful as it is scary. So just having, yeah, don't get lost in it. But you should enjoy yourself. Yeah, I like seeing what people say and it's important, I think, in a way.
And I think for Beau, a lot of it is positive, so you don't have to worry too
Yeah.
much
I'm
about
also,
that.
yeah, I'm way less yeah. I mean, this isn't exactly it's not my show, so I can rest a little bit easier knowing that it's not gonna like all fall on my shoulders, I guess.
A
That might
bit
sound a
less
little dramatic, but
a bit less pressure, but I'm sure you'll
yeah.
have that love to and support to give to everyone on the cast. You will be at the page screen and everything in between convention in May, which will have happened by the time this is out. But how excited are you to connect with fans in person and get to celebrate with them and some of your cast?
Yeah, it's a completely new experience. I'm I don't really know what to expect. I've these off-campus fans have been nothing but like so nice and engaging and really attentive to the story. So to be able to kind of reciprocate some love will be really cool. And yeah, just seeing everybody in the cast again is going to be great. Um, and I get to go to a new place. It's in Whippany, New Jersey, which I've never been to before. So yeah, it's all across the board, super exciting. I'm really excited to meet everyone.
So this will be your first convention. I believe.
Oh yeah, 100%.
Hopefully first of many, but
Yeah.
there will be like panels, I'm sure photo ops, autographs. Have you perfected your autograph yet?
One time I signed I was at the SCAD Film Festival in Georgia, and I signed this thing for this Cruel Intentions thing, and I was told, I was asked if that was my legal signature, and I said yeah. And then this kind of Amazon PR person was like, you should probably not use the signatures on your passport. So no, but to answer your question, I haven't really signed any autographs, so I'm gonna have to think of something quick.
You're like, you don't want it to look different every single person you sign. Can you imagine every single person that gets your autograph will get
Well,
a different
yeah, I
signature?
think you have two. I can't imagine many people are gonna be wanting my autograph, but I think you have two that one for, your lease, the other for a playbill, I guess.
Yeah, well, it will be so much fun for you to get to connect with everyone. I think Antonio will be there and it's his
Yeah.
birthday as well on release date. So you'll kind of get to like celebrate.
Antonio's birthday is on the release day of the
I
show.
think is it him and Mika's birthday might both be on May 13th. That's what online told me.
Oh my, that's so fun.
You
Wow.
have to like get a
It's gonna be
cake
a
and
it's gonna be
everything.
a big day for them. Yeah, yeah,
I think when you filmed season one, it wasn't over like this time of the year, so you
yeah.
wouldn't have gotten to celebrate. But
Celebrate it.
the
Yes.
trailer was released a couple days ago. What response have you received from friends and family?
Oh, I mean, my friends are kind of they're oil patch Calgarian, guys. So I don't think they're waiting by the phone for the off-campus trailer, but they're super excited anytime I get to work. I mean, a lot of my friends and family were watching me be Peter Pan in the seventh grade at my school play. So for them to wrap their head around me at doing this for a living is kind of always brings excitement in a way. So yeah, they ask about it, but no real like, I loved you in the party scene in the trailer kind of feel. But people seem to really enjoy it.
I think that you'll get a lot of love after the car scene, so I'm sure they'll
Oh
be
yeah,
supportive
I'm
and
gonna I'm
maybe
gonna
a lot of
hear.
teasing too.
Oh my, you have no idea, Chloe. I'm gonna absolutely hear it for that one. Yeah, I've already anticipated this and gone through it before. Yeah,
Well, you're prepared and nice to be back with the Prime Video family. I
for
have
sure.
one more question for you, our signature question. If you could be any ice cream flavor, which would you be and why?
Any ice cream flavor. I think I'm gonna go cookie dough. And I think cookie dough is like it's a good consistent flavor, but also there's this whole other thing going on with cookie dough. You have the cookie dough in it, and cookie dough is really good. Um, so I don't know why that really relates to me, but I'm just trying to tell you that I really like cookie dough ice cream. And if I could strive to be any ice cream, it would be cookie dough. I think it's superior.
And that's all you need to know. It's a superior ice cream flavor.
Superior ice cream. Yeah, cookie dough's the best.
That was wonderful. Thank you so much, Kobe,
Thanks
for
so much.
taking the time to chat. I really appreciate it.
Yeah, that was lovely to meet you.
For
Thank
all
you.
those I hope we can catch up again in the future,
Yeah,
season two.
for
But
sure. We'll do this
until
again.
then,
We'll have our NHL picks every year, Chloe.
yes, we'll
They're
pick the
really good.
Stanley Cup picks for sure.
Yeah.
For all those watching, make sure to catch Kobe as Beau Maxwell in Off Campus. Season one is out on Amazon Prime Video, and we will see you next time.